Okay, so here I am, and over here we got, hey Derpy, step up. This is our family bird Derp. Say hey Derp. Say hey Derp. Say hey Derp. The first thing we wanted to show you was the journal and attribution. So can you see this, Derp? Can you see this? So we're going to just type conversation clubs there. Yeah. And it's actually a pretty convenient place. See, Derp, we get to see all of the, we get to see all of that stuff. Okay, so the first thing is we go into conversation clubs. Let's pick time in a wiki world. Now, here's the thing you'll notice when you look at time in a wiki world. You see that there is Allison, there's Tim, and then there's me. And the temptation is to think, well, this is something I wrote because I'm the oldest person in that list. But let's go into that and dig into why that's not necessarily the case. So again, it comes up here and it says Allison, Tim, and me. And you notice Tim and I are the same, right? Yeah, no, I'm not the author. And what you see is in my history, I have a fork, and that fork is, although we can't really see his head, that fork is from Tim. If we hover over it, we'll see in our location bar down at the bottom, we'll see Tim. If we click here, we'll also see Tim's face come up, right? If you look at Tim's, you'll notice Tim doesn't have. If you look at Tim's, you'll notice that Tim doesn't have a fork in it, and that's because Tim is the original author. What you see here is that if we go to the latest one and we want to figure out who did it, we can just look for the first fork here. And that fork is going to be Tim. We can see that if we hover over it. And we also can see that if we click it, we'll see that Tim comes up. So that's how you find original author. Now, the reason why the top icons don't give you the original author is they just tell you when they're just telling you when the last edits were made, right? So if, for example, if Tim comes back here and Tim makes an edit to his page in 10 minutes, Tim will actually be the newest editor on here because he actually was the last person to make an edit. I don't know if that makes sense, but if it does make sense, you're starting to get how this works. So again, if you just want to figure out who the author is, just go to the newest version. So we'll go to the newest version here, and just look and see who is the first person in the fork history, and that person is your original poster. So let's also look at the journal entry here. And what we can see at a glance is we can see roughly who has done the bulk of the editing and who has done the bulk of the initial writing here. So we see a lot of these additions before this fork from Tim. And so we know that Tim wrote most of the paragraphs. If we actually go here, we'll see that there were a couple edits made over to it after it was forked from Tim. If you can see over here on this left column, we can see that there's an edit that's made to that second paragraph. It looks like Allison added only with text and not paint. And then there's an addition down here where Allison graces us with a Elvis Costello pun. So we can hover over that and we can see what Allison did, and it will highlight that for us. Now that's a little complex, right, for people. But if you actually want, you can see, okay, well, what did it look like at the time it was forked, right? And this is what it looked like at the time it was forked. So this is what it looked like before Allison did it. And then if you want to go over to the last version, you can see what Allison added. Now, like everything else in the wiki, you can use these standard modifiers. So, say we want to compare what Allison looked at first. Oh, let's just do this. Let's make this simpler. Okay, so let's say we're Allison here, and we want to compare what it was when we got it. to what it was after we were done with it. Now here's the thing, is we can use these standard, we can use these derp, we get a chill? We're going to use the standard hold down the shift, and then this will give us the last version, right? And so now we can actually compare these versions, right? So that's the thing number one. And just to remind you, like most things, if you click, it will do that window there. But if you shift click, it will open an additional window by the side. And that's how it's easy to compare